Greetings everyone, I am glad to have your attention. My name is Red Maze and today we have 3 more upcoming games from Steam Next Fest 2023. If you haven't seen my previous impressions for another 3 games, or want more potential games to see and pick up, the link to that will be in the description. With that out of the way, let's get this started and allow me to show you 3 more upcoming games that you may not have heard of. So our first game here, we have Death Must Die. So right off the bat, I was playing through this demo. The initial feels that I had was that it's like a mixture of Hades and Vampire Survivor, with its relentless but easy enemy spawn that just gradually gets harder the further you move into your run. But it also has the mobility and roguelike elements, systems and perks from the gods that will assist you in each run, similar to like Hades. With the pixel art, it's 100% freaking gorgeous. Not necessarily clean, because it does seem a bit rough around the edges, especially the sprites actually, because, I don't know, it has a weird jagginess to it, but that's okay. But the package overall is pretty top-notch work, and the animations are incredibly clean for what's on offer. There's also equipment that you can obtain that stays permanently between your runs that presumably gives you buffs on top of your standard increase attack, HP, etc. Similar to like ARPGs like Diablo. And much like its inspirations, the loop is addicting and incredibly fun to play and experiment in, with different perks and different runs and with different characters. Yes, there's actually multiple characters that you could play in this one demo, and I only got to 2 of them, but I did see that there was more that I could play, but I didn't want to get too caught up with playing it, and I had to control myself. I had to like limit to myself. I had like 5 recordings for this game, so I was like, okay, I need to stop myself. All right, so overall, it's a solid demo, wearing its inspiration on its sleeves. It's really fun and the game loop is super addicting. It just lacks a little bit of music, but I think that's okay. This game is still in development after all, and this is only just a demo. So our next game here, we have The Devil Within Satgat. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, to be completely honest. But anyways, usually I'm not super critical of demos, especially because it's just a demo, but with this one, I can't help but say that it looks like it plays just shiny garbage. The models and effects are pretty good, like there's some quality there, here and there, but the animations for movement, attacks, and even cutscenes are just a mess, and it's really inconsistent. There's too many fingers and too many genre pies. It's trying to be a story game. There's like cutscenes, quite a few of them actually, and like some of the storytelling about this hive thingy. I wasn't exactly too sure, and these guys are here to destroy it. The level design feels like a pretty typical Metroidvania layout, like there's a lot of platforms, jumping up and down, progressing as you go along, but it doesn't even have that Metroidvania part to it where you get stuff. I think you can find like new weapons and stuff, but it doesn't change anything. Your weapon style doesn't change with a new weapon. You can get a gun later apparently, but that doesn't change much. It doesn't unlock more. Maybe more combat options, maybe. And something else, but I'm not too sure what the last one was. And also, like, the respawning and regen of enemies and health pots, akin to, like, the Souls-likes. Okay. Every time you walk past a save point, it immediately refreshes all enemies and your health pots. Like, that's, like, very, very Souls-like. It feels incredibly out of place as well. Environments are just completely random. Like, okay, for instance, we're fighting in a spore-infested area. Cool, okay, alright. Okay, we're being teleported to an Oriental Vista. Okay, sure, safe haven and all. Makes sense, maybe it's like a hub area where we come back to. And then Ruined City with like metalworks and running electricity. now you lost me. Like, where is this going? Like, environment-wise. 1 minute it's not high-tech, very sort of Eastern, like, simplicity. And then suddenly we're in, like, a Western city full of electricity and stuff. Like, I'm confused. Like, what's going on here? Combat is just awful. I tried a defensive style with a focus of guarding and parrying. And even with putting points in this, like, skill tree for this specific mechanic, I get little to no rewards for doing so, unless you have the parry gauge to do so. Like, there's this gauge that fills up, and then when you have at least one charge of it, you can cash it out to do a special attack on top of it. But why tie it to something like that? Why would you attach this counterattack to a special meter bar? It feels a bit strange of a choice to do so there. Attacks feel weak and lack impact with enemies, and even basic mobs, if there's even enough of them, they can stun lock you to death if you aren't careful. And more often than not, especially when you get to the boss a bit later in the demo, it's a stun lock haven, because there's so many mobs on screen all attacking at the same time, and they can stun lock you to death if you aren't careful. And enemy design, it's just nonsensical. Like, 1 minute you're fighting devil samurais, next minute zombies with guns, worm people, and then bugs. Like, what? I'm just gonna keep repeating this. I'm just confused. I'm just confused. You can't get a proper read on the timing of enemy attacks, even with the red flash indicator. The timing feels extremely off. Like, it doesn't seem to line up properly with when you should be guarding. Again, with my playstyle, I'm playing defensive option, focusing on trying to get that parry time correct. And this flash indicator is just not helping me one bit. And it just gets worse with the boss fight, the bug boss fight, as you could probably see here with some footage that I'm playing in the background. It's not good. Overall, it's trying to be many things, but it's failing to be even one of them. Story makes zero sense with a bunch of jargon that the player is supposed to understand with no context. Combat isn't just fun with the most random assortment of enemies, and it just makes no sense visually and gameplay wise. I don't know, man. I apologize, devs, but this needs way more time to bake properly. This is not good, unfortunately.
So let's take it from the top. Like a jazz standard. Play it in our own time. As loud as we dare. One-way trip. I picture the pills in the bag with the pills and taking the pills in the bag with... It feels inevitable. And Nickelodeon on a loop. Courtesy of an addict's chemistry. I'm the addict, by the way. Hi. Oh shit. This is bad.
For our final game, we have here El Paso Elsewhere. This game is heavily inspired by the Max Payne series, from the slow-mo leap mechanic to the narration by the main character in a raspy low-tonal voice. Like, you can see the comparison straight off the bat, and you can definitely already tell where the dev got its inspiration from. And it's basically like black and white. You can tell. You can definitely tell straight off the bat. The premise and overarching story is completely ridiculous, but at the same time, it's incredibly intriguing as well, as you don't really know what to expect from Man with a Gun and Mission and his ex, who's a vampire lord in El Paso, Texas. Like, what? It's ridiculous. Like, no wits about it. You're here to save the world, apparently. Like, huh? Complete ridiculous, but the way it's told through its narration in its cutscenes and even just moment-to-moment bits just has you by the hook and wanting to learn more about it and understand more of the context as to why we're doing this and everything. Visually, it's nothing of big note. Colors do pop out, especially the lights, which is pretty nice, but that's really about it, honestly. In one particular section, it is quite dark, especially at one point. I don't know if this was a visual bug or something, but it suddenly turns really red at one point, and then I just literally cannot properly navigate where I'm going in this place, but I do eventually get out, but I don't know if this was intended or not with this particular section. Gunplay is great. Guns have the right amount of oomph to it, has enough power, and it's satisfying enough to hear, even if they're just basic guns, like just your machine gun, pistols, and shotgun, your typical choices. And the ammo count between the guns feel balanced enough where it doesn't feel stingy, but it does have you constantly switching weapons, especially to reload them. Now, I did notice that there is an option in the settings that allows you to automatically reload your gun when you run out of bullets, but that is off by default, so you have to manually reload your guns before you switch them. And if you don't switch them, they're just gonna stay unloaded until you reload them, which is nice. It's so you don't just mindlessly gun down everything. Simple and straightforward loop is part of this game as well. So you just simply walk into a room, you see some enemies, gun them down in slow motion style, save the occasional hostage, rinse and repeat as you go on, as you progress through the stages with more unique variants of foes as you continue to progress through the game. Alright, overall opinions. I mean, yeah, as I've probably mentioned already, nostalgia is sort of getting the better of me here. But damn be it all, this is a fantastic demo. Story is certainly intriguing, gunplay is certainly fun, super fun, albeit kind of basic, and the loop for each level is quite simple, but it mixes it up as you progress, as you go along, and it's a very strong, very solid first impression. Alrighty then, that's another batch of demos done and dusted. Again, I praise devs who put up demos of their games for the populace to try out, because we don't get that as often with AAA games and the like. Overall, these three games have great potential, and you can certainly see where each game got their inspiration from and how they've given it their own spin. I wish each of these devs the best of luck and continue to keep up the grind. With that said, my name is Red Maze and I'm glad I got your attention. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and take care.